Hey, what's going on, everybody? Justin here, and I've basically been a terrible booktuber and book reviewer, and I have a whole just slew of backlog titles that I need to review, and I decided, I'm going to start bringing back these single book review type videos to the channel. And the first one here, we're going to be doing an outdoorsy one because it's called Beneath the Night: How the Stars Have Shaped Human History by Stuart and Faber were kind enough to send me a digital copy since they had run out of physical review copies and whatnot. But yeah, I've just been really bad about reviewing books, so I figured, I'd do an outdoor one. It's actually above 0 for once in the past week here in northern Maine. But as you can see, it's snowing pretty good right now, which is actually pretty good because we waited till the end of December. But anyways, I figured I'd do some more outdoor videos, but let's just get on with the review here. Now, what is really good about this book, I always itch for a physical science book, either physics, chemistry, or astronomy, something like that, because I read so much biology books, but I've just never had great luck with the more physical sciences. And so I was really pleased after reading Beneath the Night, because it definitely just fit the bill for just a really good sort of astronomy book. And I really enjoyed it because he kind of deals a lot with kind of anthropology, and as the subtitle, how the stars have shaped human history, a lot of sort of human interaction with the stars and the night sky and things of that nature. So I look behind me as if Bigfoot's gonna get me or something like that. See if we can get in the trees just a little bit out of the snow maybe. And I got the little muffler thing over the mic, so hopefully the audio quality comes in a little bit better here. But let's see, back to the review. The book starts off way into prehistory, dealing with sort of Neolithic calendars potentially. There are a lot of artifacts that for example, there's bones with certain scratch marks and whatnot, and the only factors people could really guess at what they were are kind of primitive lunar calendars and stuff. It kind of starts there, sort of a baseline, and I thought that was just really cool that even tens and 20,000 years ago. Don't know what tens and 20,000 years ago was supposed to mean, but even way back then, people were tracking the night sky, tracking the phases of the moon, things like that, as a way of sort of timekeeping and whatnot. But and he kind of progresses throughout human history, dealing a lot. My favorite parts of the book definitely were dealing with sort of the ancient civilizations. We got Sumer and Babylon and stuff, and he kind of talks about the Magi, the biblical Magi and stuff. Where did they come from, whatnot, and how they're kind of tracking astronomical observations and things, the Star of David and everything like that. So I thought it was really cool dealing with ancient Sumer and how they kind of created not created the constellations, probably isn't the best way to put it, but kind of they created the concept of breaking the night sky into distinct segments into the zodiac, and how the zodiac used to not have just 12 but actually had a whole lot more than 12. Sort of how did we end up with 12? Definitely deals with that sort of, as over time things sort of get dwindled down and more streamlined and things like that. And in kind of dealing with this, there's also the history of timekeeping. Why are there 60 seconds in a minute, for example, and why are there 24 hours in a day? He deals with that just because the night sky actually had quite a bit to do with the creation of that stuff. As I'm panting pretty good here. I don't know why I didn't wear snowshoes. I guess last time I realized I didn't need them, but it snowed since then. So anyways, I will say deals all the way up from, like I said, ancient Sumer, ancient Neolithic times, all the way up to the modern time with the space race and things like that. As I think there's snow on the lens. There we go. I will say the more modern part of the book, I think, was a little bit weaker than the historical, the more ancient and medieval histories. Just because when dealing with sort of, once we hit about the 20th century, it seems like he kind of glossed over a few things that I think definitely should have been addressed a little bit more. For example, the Hubble Space Telescope, and a lot of the sort of scientists around the turn of the 20th century just had there was a whole lot going on in the field of astronomy, which is sort of basically opening our eyes to what was actually going on in the night sky, being able to see it better and in different ways and whatnot, with different kinds of lenses and things like that. And I kind of got glossed over more for kind of the rise of, modern day like astrology, how that came about, and like theosophy and things like that. And I just felt like it was just a little sort of out of place, if that sort of makes sense. I will say another highlight of the book definitely was when the author was discussing Enlightenment scientists. We got like Isaac Newton, and a little bit before, a couple generations before that, we got Galileo, and particularly Johannes Kepler is a very interesting historical figure, and dealing with sort of what he believed and how everyone was kind of still trying to figure out the music of the spheres and things like that. And he sort of got things like accidentally, streamlined towards more, no, these are like, the laws of planetary motion and whatnot. And I thought it was interesting, like something I learned was like Copernicus, even though he was the one, dealing with the whole heliocentric solar system and whatnot, dealing with how he actually had quite a bit wrong, like technically, just like mathematically wrong with sort of his planetary motions, because no one actually realized that the planetary orbits were more ellipses than just perfect circles, and like no one actually like figured that out for quite some time. So Copernicus himself had to add like a whole bunch of weird, just goofy stuff just to like kind of make the calculations work. But yeah, I definitely recommend this book if you're interested in astronomy, but particularly, like I said, more about like kind of the anthropological relationship that people have had just with the night sky in general. As I almost fell. Look, we're gonna have a whole video where I don't fall. That'll be a Christmas miracle practically. But anyways, like I said, more about the relationship of how people have sort of used the night sky just over the past several thousand years to like kind of our advantage. And he kind of brings up a great point of how the ancient Greeks, the ancient Egyptians, and even we're talking about Paleolithic hunter-gatherers and stuff, are looking at pretty much the same night sky that we are today. And it's just kind of an interesting thing when you go kind of outside and look at it after reading the book. But like I said, definitely check out this book if you're interested in astronomy at all, the night sky, things like that. I definitely don't think you will disappointed. Thank you again to Faber for sending me a copy of that. And with that, I think I'll call it good, as I think my face is like completely covered in snow. This sounded a lot better in my head than actually going out and reviewing in a snowstorm. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. Definitely check out the Etsy shop, Instagram, Twitter, everything like that. And always remember, whatever you're reading, read victoriously.